What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I want to talk about something that is really important to most of you, probably everyone, and that's in-season training. So I'm going to give you guys my basic structure for my in-season training template, and I'm going to tell you guys why I think that in-season training is so crucial. First of all, most athletes will make the mistake of training really hard in the off season, and then when it's actually game time, they just stop lifting, and basically by the end of the season, they're worse than they were at the start of the season, right? Because they stop training and all they do now is play their sport, which obviously stays the primary goal. However, we don't need to peak at the end of our off season. We need to peak when it's actually time to perform in the playoffs, at the end of the season, championship time. That's when we want to be at our absolute best, not at the end of the off season. So the in season training basically is that bridge between the end of the off season and post season, whenever it's actually time to be at our absolute best. So with that being said, there's a template that I use for my athletes, a basic template. Obviously, it depends on the needs of that specific athlete. It depends on the resources. It depends on a lot of different things. But the main structure and the main idea stays the same. And I will talk about this template. Okay. So the template is basically a 4 day per week workout schedule that are four different mini workouts. Now, these mini workouts, they can be completed in 20, 30 minutes time. They can be done before or after practice, really depending on the athlete. And the cool thing is also the athlete is able to stack multiple of these mini days on top of each other. So, for example, if you have a really busy week and you're only able to lift two times, you can just stack two workouts. It'll take you 40 minutes. And instead of having 4 days in the weight room of 20 minutes each, you just have a 40-minute workout on, let's say, Monday and a 40-minute workout on Thursday, right? So it's a really flexible schedule. And the main idea is to still hit the basic movements, the basic movement patterns, and just go really hard for a very short amount of time so it doesn't fatigue us. There's no extra junk volume, and it will just get us ready for the games. It will make us feel good. And that way, we're still maintaining what we built during the off season, during the season. So, again, like I said, at the end of the season, we are at our absolute best. Now, day one, day one of this template is basically a lower body focused movement to start with, is a bending or a hinge movement. So this could be something like a trap bar deadlift, depending on the movement pattern, obviously, of the athlete, but mostly it's mostly bending, or like a RDL, for example, just a heavy compound lift. Again, the volume of these heavy compounds is really low, the intensity is high. So I like to go somewhere from four sets of three, for example, 5 sets of 4, something like that. Just low volume, really high intensity. Then we pair this main compound movement, so this hinge movement, with a accessory. This accessory is again specific to the needs of the athletes. Could be some lower leg strengthening, could be some abductor adductor work, something that's like a prehab, right? But something that is a weak point of the athlete we address in this accessory that we just superset with the main movement. Then from there we go into a vertical pull for the second set of the workout. It's like a giant set, a tricep. We have a vertical pull, so something like chin ups, lat pull downs, whatever it might be. A vertical pull with a posterior chain accessory, which could be some glute work, some hamstring work, some stability ball curls, some Nordic hamstring curls, some hip thrust, whatever it might be. And we have a trunk movement. Now, in the schedule, in the template, you can see it just said trunk 4 times. I do think it's important that we address all the different types of trunk movements. So we have or extension, lateral bending, we have a rotation, resistance. We have all these different type of trunk movements. So this does not mean planks every single day or crunches every day. No, it means loading up the trunk in all the different type of movements. Okay, so that is day one. Then day two, same idea again, but this time it's a little bit more. Um, we start with a basic upper body movements or horizontal push or dumbbell presses, barbell bench press, whatever it might be, again with an accessory. So something here would be some type of shoulder stability, for example, some face pulls, some scap work, whatever it might be, again for that specific athlete. Then the second part of this workout of day two would be some posterior chain. So here we just do something a little bit heavier than the day before because it's our main compound lift for the second part of the lift. So for example, if the day before you did some hamstring curls, some prone hamstring curls, we could do like some type of RDL, for example, or some type of hip thrust. Then we superset that with some shoulder work or arm work. This is a little bit higher volume. Obviously, it's an accessory, so we go a little bit lighter here. And again, some trunk work. Okay. So basically, same idea, just different movement patterns. And the same for day 3 and 4. Day 3, we do a unilateral lower body. So this could be anything like a Bulgarian split squats, some lunge work, and different planes of motion. We pair that again with an accessory for the lower body, same like day one. Could be something, abductors, adductors, hip flexors, lower body work, whatever that might be for that specific athlete. Then we go into our horizontal pull, so bent over rows, one arm rows, whatever it might be for the athlete. Posterior chain, again, glute work, hamstring work with trunk. And then day 4 could be some vertical push. Now, here it depends on the sport. Again, for example, if you have someone like a volleyball player that does a lot of overhead movements, we might just do like some type of incline work, which is kind of in between horizontal vertical, depending on the athlete. Pair it with an accessory, and then again, some heavy posterior chain, some shoulder and arm work, and some trunk work. So really basic workouts, right? But if we do all of these in 1 week, we still hit all the basic movements from a biomechanical standpoint to make sure that we at least maintain what we've built during the summer. Now, one thing that I will add to this that you can't see in the template is that I like to start the workouts with some type of power work. So, for example, on my lower body days, I like to do some Olympic lifts. On the days that start with a upper body compound lift, I like to do some med ball throws, for example, or some explosive push-ups, whatever it might be, just to make sure that we still have some power work in there. Now, lastly, there's also a bonus, and the bonus is day 5. Day 5 is basically a game day lift. And on the game day lift, I like to do some power work, some higher velocity stuff, things that we don't have time for during the week. We do it on game day again. Really short lift, but really to prime ourselves for the game that's coming. And secondly, also to hit this kind of higher velocity stuff that we don't do during the week. So that way we still hit it multiple times every single month and we still stay sharp velocity wise, right? So the main idea for the game day would be to prime ourselves and feel good during the game. But the bonus from this is that we also are able to hit some different type of qualities.